Good morning and welcome to the apocalypse. It is I, the OGGM, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and not caring. And it's time to take a look at all the crowdfunding projects that are coming to an end this week. Yep, all the following crowdfunding projects are coming to an end, but you still have a chance to support them. So if anything I talk about sounds interesting to you, reach out to the individual publishers, the crowdfunding source of your preference, or your friendly local game store if you're lucky enough to have one, and ask them to look into it. And speaking of crowdfunding, we have another new crowdfunding site popping up. We have something called Backer Kit crowdfunding platform. So now, in addition to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GameFound, and Games on Tabletops, we have introducing crowdfunding by Backer Kit. We don't have a lot of information on these guys yet. So far, they've signed up with Monty Cook Games and Greater Than Games, and they're looking to compete with Kickstarter as your source for crowdfunding, Kickstarter, GoFundMe type stuff. Okay, let's take a look. We have something called Vermin 2047 Survival Kit, a post-apocalypse role-playing game set in 2047 from Studio Agate. This is a core rulebook. The most popular pledge is $80. It's obviously a post-apocalypse role-playing game. These are the same company that made Shadows of Eastern and Fate Forge. It's a D10 system. Other than that, we don't know a lot about it, other than it's, of course, post-apocalypse, and it's got a name called Vermin 2047. We've got Over the Hell, a 5 plugin settlements for 5e from EN Publishing. This is a D&D 5e source book. Most popular pledge is $7. It's, as it says, a zine of some pre-made cities for your D&D stuff. From Chris Longhurst, we have C Issue X, a narrative superhero. That's it. It's called C Issue X, a narrative superhero from Chris Longhurst. Obviously, that's a typo, but I guess they meant narrative superhero role-playing game. This is a core rulebook. Most popular pledge is $10. This is a game about comic book backstory as anything. Using a deck of cards, you're going to craft your backstory and then talk about how you went through 100 issues of continuity. You'll generate some story elements and then try and reconcile them. A solo group narrative RPG where you sit around and talk about the backstory of a superhero. Do you actually get to role play them through this backstory, or are you just going to say, well, in issue 3, Captain Wonderbread fell... No, that's just... No. That's no. From Cobblepath Games, we have Coffee and Chaos. This is a role-playing game about running a modern-day cafe where all your other previous role-playing characters walk in for a bite. Then hilarity and role-playing ensues. Using an original system, you basically run characters running a cafe. Yeah, so I guess somebody saw the coffee shop parody adventure that came out for Strixhaven last year and went, you know what? There is a market for role-playing games where you play people who work behind the counter at a small bistro or coffee shop, because nothing says role-playing like playing a clerk at a retail. You know, I mean, that's the first thing I think about when I run a role play. It's just like, you know, I would love to play a game where I get to relive my years of working at electronics retail and big box retail, you know, from the age of 16 to the age of 40. Those were the best years of my life, being mistreated by customers and managers. Yeah, I just so miss so much by working behind the counter and doing inventory that I want a role-playing game that allows me to play through that again, because nothing says escaping from reality like playing a game about reality. No, stop it. There is no market for this. The coffee shop thing was a parody joke. The guy was making fun of the weird obsession about Strixhaven And it's like, no, I mean, this was not a real thing. Stop it. From Headless Hydra Press, we have Adventurers Agency. This is an adventure module for D&D 5th edition. It's $25 is the most popular pledge. And this allows you to play in a role-playing game where you adventure stuff and just, talk about characters. And it's called Adventurers Agency and allows you to come up with on-the-spot adventures should somebody not show up for a game. No longer will there be pressure to show up at the game. So the whole point of the game is it's okay if you don't show up to the game because the game's going to give you tools to continue doing stuff even if there's no players there. Or how to describe how characters aren't there sometimes because of the narrative. Because 48 years is saying either, oh, they stayed in town, oh, they're in the back of the party, and then when the player comes again, you just catch them up and say, yeah, this happened, but, you didn't get any experience because you weren't there, but they might share some of the treasure with you. So here's a guy who said, yeah, I'm going to make a whole game about your player not being there. I hate to bag on these guys. I want to support independent creators, and I understand that you have to go extremely niche now to even try and break through because, there's just such a glut. But, yeah, no, stop it. Yes, that's what I want. I want a game. The whole point is I can explain, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books to explain why Steve's character wasn't there this week. And what happened? Because apparently I don't have enough imagination to just go, yeah, Steve's character stayed at the bar. Or, what do you know? He was behind you guys the whole time. 48 years of, what do you know? He was behind you guys the whole time. And this guy's like, yeah, no, I got to come up with 6 books. No, I'm sorry. From Legendary Games, we have Mythos Monsters for Pathfinder. This is a Pathfinder sourcebook for both 1E and 2E. $15 is the most popular pledge, and it's 80 new monsters for Pathfinder because, you don't have enough imagination to come up with your own. I'm always like to look at new monster manuals, but 9 out of 10 times the new monsters are just reskins of existing monsters, unless it's, ones that do here monsters from folklore that you're not really familiar with, So, yeah. From Gaming Ballistic, we have Till Death Do Us Part for the fantasy trip of all things. An adventure module for the fantasy trip? Wow. I mean, I had heard that Steve Jackson was trying to bring back that product line. I didn't know it had actually gone anywhere, but wow, the fantasy trip. I mean, fantasy trip was the game Steve Jackson Games made before GURPS, and I really liked playing it. The few times we played it back in the days, it was a really good, simple system. So it's interesting to see it come back and see if it is GURPS fantasy just reskinned or something else. But here's an adventure module for it. It's a $22. It's the most popular pledge, and it's a solo adventure. Solo adventures are becoming a thing, I guess, because you're too cheap to just play a free video game. I mean, I don't see the appeal of solo video games, but I mean, I guess it's a thing, and it seems to be becoming a more and more thing. So whatever. It's the fantasy trip, which was great. It's Steve Jackson's games. They gave us GURPS, but whatever. From Work Warthogs Incorporated. Okay, you win this week's award for best name for a company. We have a Game to Remember. This is a source book. It's a $25 is the most popular pledge. It's a 50-page, one-page game session arcs. All system neutral to cut down GM prep. So each page is a different adventure of kickoff thing. So yes, this I like. Here's a page. Here's some plot hooks. That's it. You use your imagination to fill in the rest. Flip the page. Here's a page. Here's a new adventure. Here's some plot hooks. You use your imagination to fill in the rest. This is us. This is what the kind of stuff I like. And now we have a convention that's looking for your support from October 14th through 16th. We have Travelercon Usa 2022 coming up, scheduled to be in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, October 14th through 16th. The most popular pledge is $158. If you're a fan of Traveler and other science fiction gaming and just general gaming in general, and you live in the Pennsylvania area and you want to support a convention in your hometown, you can help Kickstart Crowdfund this convention to make sure it actually happens. Those are always nice. And that is it for this week's crowdfunding. The only one I even can kind of say is a game to remember from Work Warthogs. I like that name. And I like the fact that they are making something like this. This is the kind of stuff I like to see. Till Death Do Us Part for the fantasy trip, sure. Monsters and Mythos. It's always interesting to see people's, take on monsters from other cultures and stuff like that, like Africa and South America and stuff like that. So, yeah. Adventure Agency, no. Coffee and Chaos, no. Sea Issue X, no. Over the Next Hill, a cheap zine with 5 pre-made cities for 5e. That's not bad. Vermin. I love post-apocalypse. I don't know enough about this, but sure. Yeah, I could see you taking a look at it. The name is cool. The art is cool. I love post-apocalypse. So, yeah. Wow. I'm sorry. I know I'm really harsh on these sometimes, but some of and I understand that if you're a small business guy trying to get your foot through the tabletop role-playing game industry, especially now with all the negativity, you've got to come up with something unique. And I guess there's a market for solo role-playing, but some of these are just like, no, that's not a thing. Especially like I want to play a game where I'm playing a retail clerk. Okay, the coffee thing for Strixhaven was a joke, as was the Easter one. The guy was parodying the Strixhaven's bullshit. So, yeah, I don't know. I apologize if I offended you. I am the tabletop role-playing game guide to all the nonsense that is my life, and I have a migraine, and I should probably stop talking about this before I upset anybody else. But on the other hand, I don't care. Till next time. Enjoy my lovely apocalypse, and I'll talk to you soon. And just, role-playing game about being a retail clerk.